Okay, guys, me again. Wednesday's lesson is about to go down. Now, I'm going to try to keep this as short and simple as possible because I know, well, I can only speak for myself, but I know that if the video gets too long, I quit listening. So I'm going to try to make it short and sweet, hit the high points, and then if you have questions, let me know, and then I will always be able to answer you. If it's easier to just make a new video, then by golly, that's what we're going to do. So today is Wednesday. In your packet, you should get a paper that looks like this. The pink paper is a checklist of all the things that we're going to do. I also added a checklist to the daily agenda that kind of matches what is on here anyways. So you can either check off, like you can check it off, or you can just check it off. It doesn't matter to me, but you got to get the stuff done. So today we're starting a brand new unit. We are going to start, and yes, you can unstaple if you want. Like I'm going to take this off so I have it. We're going to start, like always, with a warm-up. So on our warm-up today, this is kind of a review of what we did before we left for spring break. Interactions in an ecosystem, and I do apologize because I tried to write little notes on there, but it kind of like a joke was on me because they got cut off when I made copies of them. So this is comparing living things to non-living things. Remember, living things are anything that can reproduce, they can grow, all of those things. And then remember, happy best friends. So humans, animals, plants, bacteria, and fungus are all examples of living things in an ecosystem. But also remember, just because they're dead doesn't mean they are non-living. They're still a part of the living ecosystem because they're not non-living. Okay, so non-living things, this would be waffles without the second F: water, air, food, light, energy, and shelter. So basically on this one, you take all of these things up here, you sort them out, and you can just write them in the blank, whether it's living or whether it's non-living. Then you have a couple of questions down here at the bottom. Just answer them the best you can. Now, warm-ups typically don't have a back, but this one does, so don't forget about the back. I bubbled, here I'll unstaple it. I bubbled in the directions. All you have to do is choose one of these scenarios, and then you have to answer the questions that follow. Okay, if you have questions on this, you just let me know. If it gets to the point where you're like, no one's answering me, put a note on here like, hey, I don't understand this question. And then when you turn it back in, of course, I'll be able to see that. But yes, this needs to be turned back in for a grade. Okay. Then the second thing that we're going to work on today, we're starting a new unit. This is inherited traits versus learned behaviors. Now in the packet that we started with, there are just some informational text on both of those things. I've also linked the vocabulary words that will help correlate with this new unit. So you need to look at those. It's very important. If you don't know the definitions, then, oh my gosh, if you don't know the definitions, then that's going to be a problem. Okay, so yes, you can unstaple it all. This is just a hard copy of the PowerPoint, and I skipped over a few slides only because you don't have to have them, but if you look on the online version, hopefully it works, there are more slides that you can go over and kind of practice the difference between learned behaviors and inherited traits. So here's what I'm going to say about this, and then I'll come back and we'll talk about it a little bit more as we go throughout the week. Learned behaviors are things that you have to learn. Like you learned how to hold your fork and eat food. You learned how to do jumping jacks. You learned how to ride a bike. You learned how to read. Anything that is a learned behavior is something that you are taught, whether it's you're taught by someone or your environment or nature kind of taught it for you. Okay? An instinct, no, inherited trait is the other one. Inherited trait just means that you were born with it. You are born with brown hair. You're born with brown eyes. You're born with attached or unattached earlobes. Okay? Those are things that you are born with that you weren't, like you didn't teach your hair to be brown. It just is. Okay? So we'll go back over these. I want you to go through the notes and read them. And then over here, you're going to fill out the notes. This we will You're going to bring this back, or you're going to turn this back in on Monday. When you turn it in, I will go through all of your journals and I will glue it in there for you, just so when all of this is over, you will have this to go back to and look at. Now, well, I'll get to that in a second. So on the notes, the first few questions, it says your pet, number 1 and number 2. This goes along with the PowerPoint. So you actually have to read through the PowerPoint, so that one kind of makes sense. The question is, do you have a pet, or you know someone who does? Hopefully you do. It could be a dog, a cat. It could be a guinea pig or a fish, okay? Number 1, write down one physical characteristic. So tell me what it looks like. Number 2, write down one behavior that your animal does. So for example, if I'm using my dog, Tilly, she is a dog. She's mainly white. Okay, that's a physical trait. That's me describing the way she looks. Number 2, it says write down one behavior that the animal does. She is a crazy dog that likes to watch animals on TV. So when another dog is on TV, she stands there and she jumps up and down and barks at the TV because she thinks it's fun. Crazy. But that's a behavior that she does and a physical characteristic. So we're working towards figuring out the difference between what's learned and what is something that we get it from our moms and our dads, okay? Then down below, inherited traits, you have like a little flow chart that would be found here on the PowerPoint. That's like the second slide. And then when you open it up, I gave you like the modified version of the notes, so it's not as much writing. You're welcome. Just kidding. It is fill in the blank. For the most part, it goes right along with the way our PowerPoint is set up. When you finish with this, your PowerPoint, keep it, because this is going to help you. This is kind of going to be your notes that you can refer back to while I have your journal. And then the, what's this called again? The warm-up and the notes, you're going to put back into your envelope and you're going to bring it back to school with us on Monday, okay? I think that's it for today. There is one more thing. There is a survey that I'm going to share with you on Google Classroom that I want you to answer. This is just kind of like a daily check-in. I miss you guys. I want to see what you've been doing. So don't forget to answer the survey. Don't forget to fill out the notes. Don't forget to be nice. See you tomorrow. Maybe.